What's up, guys? So it's been a while since I've done a video talking about anything regarding the next NASCAR game. But now I just found out today, as you could see here in the background, uh, they are doing a game developer Q&A session, right, for NASCAR 25. So I am on Discord. I rarely ever use it, but that's where it's gonna be, and it's for Thursday, June 12th, 3 p.m. Eastern. So what I'm gonna try to do is live stream, as I'm watching, talking about it, and so what they're doing is they're allowing people to ask some questions. I don't know how many questions they're allowing. I I did ask. I submitted 3 questions. I don't. There's no guarantee they're gonna read them or whatever, but hopefully they do. So the 3 questions that I focused on were simple. One, I asked about how customizable are the cars and the characters, right? So I kind of want them to touch on, you know, not necessarily ask if there's a paint booth, because I don't think there will be. They're probably going to give you something along the lines of like what we got in the Heat games, at least for the first game. But I also want to know if the characters are customizable and, maybe a fire suit, helmet, stuff like that. So that's a basic question. I threw that in there. I also asked about the setup menu, if they're going to have a tutorial or an explanation of what certain changes do to the car, so that most people know nothing about setups, including myself. So when you're in there making changes, you want to know what these changes actually do to the car. They have to do something to bridge that gap between the people playing the game and a very technical side of NASCAR, which is, race setups. So I'd like to know if they're doing anything with that, right? I did a video talking about, ideas that I've talked about for many years, having like the crew chief be an integral part of your career mode, where he actively helps you come up with a setup and work on your car, and during testing and practice and stuff like that, where you can complain to him and he'll make changes for you and explain what. But that is definitely something that we're not going to see, at least in the first game. It's just something that I'm always throwing out there with the hopes that someday, a developer, hopefully iRacing, you know, listens and maybe says, hey, this is a good idea. We should be doing this. There is a big disconnect between, most people and when it comes to the technical side of NASCAR, like these race setups. Nobody knows except a handful of people. This is engineering stuff. So you have to, I think, as a developer, find a way to bridge that gap, right? So that people don't feel lost or aren't just like forced to just go online and take somebody else's setup, copy it, and then hope, for the best. So that was my second question. Maybe they could get into some detail about it and say, hey, yeah, when you hover over something, it'll explain. Like in iRacing, when you hover over certain things, it does give you a small explanation. But they really got to do better with that stuff. And the third question was, in presentation wise, are we going to have pre-race and or post-race commentary, right, as part of the presentation? Hopefully they understand what I'm asking, like during career mode or whatever, before the race. Maybe hear the commentary that discusses what, how you're running in the season and where are you in the points standings. Post race, how did you run? Small things like that I think would add a lot to the game and to the presentation and atmosphere. So those are the 3 questions I submitted. It does, I mean, the submit question button is still there. I'm not going to add any more questions because I know a lot of people out there are going to ask questions that I have no idea, what questions they're going to take, or if they're going to try to answer everybody's questions. I don't think they can, right? I don't think it's possible. So I submitted those three questions. I just like to know from you guys if those are three questions that pique your interest. And now that you know that I submitted those questions, right? If you as and I do suggest that you guys, if you're on Discord, you get on NASCAR's channel, and you join the Q&A, or at least submit questions, right? If you want to watch my live stream, you're going to see whether or not they, address your question or not. But those three questions that I'm asking, so that you don't waste your time submitting them. If you're going to ask something, ask about something else that I didn't ask about. But yeah, so basically, just to let you guys know, there's a game developer Q&A session Thursday, June 12th, 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. Eastern, right? So I am going to try to live stream it. So yeah, as far as what's going on, or what I think is happening with the development, I don't know anything for sure, right? This is just my opinion, right? Just freeballing it. We're in June now. It's June 10th, right? I think that we're probably going to get one more developer diary, at least between today and maybe the end of the month, right? So between now and the end of June, maybe right after this developer Q&A, right? I think that seems like a good time to drop another developer diary. I do want to take a moment to give them a shout out, right? And this goes back to 704 Monster Games, and they're continuing this tradition. I could say now it's a tradition, right? Because they've been doing this pretty much the whole way through, is having those developer diaries. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen or heard of another developer do that. I'm not saying it's never been done, but to do it on a consistent basis the way that these guys do it and have been doing it. Because remember, these are also the guys that were working on the Heat games. So I want to give them a shout out, because I think it's a great way for the developer to communicate with the public. I wish more developers would do this. I actually think the developer diaries are more interesting than a game trailer. Game trailers can get you excited, but the developer diaries, they do a good job of really laying out what they're working on, what they're hoping to achieve, and it gives me a much better insight into what this product is going to end up being like, right? Instead of just looking at a game trailer and just kind of guessing, or making assumptions. So I love that they do that. I wish more developers would take a cue from these guys and do that as well. I feel like they've revealed a lot more information from these developer diaries than we ever could have gotten from a game trailer. As far as the game trailer goes, the game is, if memory serves me correct, September 12th, I think. So, to me, and I'm not a marketing expert, but I think you have to be, the timing of a game trailer is tricky. If you release it too early, it loses its effectiveness, right? So if the game is coming out on September 12th and you got a trailer now, yeah, everybody's going to be excited for a week, and then it dies off. And then you're sitting around for a couple months. All of that momentum that you get from that buzz from a trailer, it dissipates. It goes away. And remember, we're not talking about Grand Theft Auto. We're talking about a NASCAR game. Much smaller market. It's a niche market. Plus, it's a sports game. Sports games just aren't on that same level of a game that comes. You know, sports games come out every year, and people know that they're not going to get big changes. So, with this game coming out September 12th, if it was me, I would release the trailer 1 month before the release. I think if you release it sooner than that, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? It just that hype kind of dies down. I think 1 month is perfect. People know about the game. The trailer's exciting. It gives people something to talk about and look forward to. And a month is right around the corner. So anytime in August, right, early August, I that's when I would release a trailer. Plus, we already have these developer diaries. I really don't know how much more they can reveal without. I mean, there isn't anything to spoil. It would be nice to leave a few things to people's for people to discover on their own, but I think we know enough about the game to have a good sense of what it is. The only thing missing is gameplay footage. So I don't know if that would be part of the next developer diary, or they might just maybe show that in a trailer. Gameplay footage is tricky because it doesn't always give you a sense of what the physics are. So you can look at someone, it's like watching someone play a game and actually playing it with a controller in your hand. It's not the same thing. So I think people get carried away with gameplay footage and make assumptions. And sometimes a game could also look good. And then when you're actually playing it, it just doesn't feel right. So that's a mystery. But that's something I think most people are waiting to see, including myself. I do want to actually see some gameplay footage. Um, so yeah, I don't know anything. This is all opinion. And at least Thursday we're gonna have a Q&A session, and I know people are gonna ask some pretty interesting questions. Those are the three questions that I submitted. You got the customization, right? I didn't ask for I didn't ask about a paint booth, right? Because if I say, hey, is there a paint booth in the game, they're most likely gonna say no, not the first game, whatever. We're thinking of down the road. You're gonna get something like that. I asked a broader question, which is what's the customization like is with the cars and the characters. So now they could say, well, yeah, well, the customization is we're gonna have templates, right? It's gonna be like the Heat series, and maybe you could customize the fire suits and the helmets and the characters, whatever it is. They have a broader question they can answer more comfortably, right? The other one was the template or whatever for the setups, right? Working on setups. What's that going to be like? Is it, are you going to have any way to get people to understand what the setups are and what each change does to the car? Give us some info on that, right? And what was the third question? Uh, oh, pre-race and post-race commentary as part of the presentation. Are we going to have something like that? Basically, what I'm asking is, when you're in career mode, are you going to hear the commentators talk about you? Like, hey, Disco or the 70 car, he's 13th in the points, and last week at Darlington he finished 8th, and he's going to have to do well here this week at Kansas. Like, simple stuff like that, but it gets you to feel like you are an active part of this world, right? Those are little details, very easy to implement, but they go a long way in getting you immersed, right? It's all about that immersion. So those are my three questions. I'm not going to add like 20 questions, right? Because they're not going to just take one guy and answer all his questions. I don't even know if they're going to answer more than one of these questions, if any. But those are the three I submitted. So yeah, and those of you who are interested, I would, if you're on Discord, if not, join. You go on the NASCAR thing, and then, as you could see here, it's going to be hosted by somebody, Jesse Punch. Q&A featuring Matt Lewis. So Matt Lewis is the producer for NASCAR 25. Behind the scenes developer Q&A. So got questions, bring them curious about what's next for NASCAR game. So yeah, this is good that they're doing this. Not every developer does things like this. This is why I did want to give them a shout out. I like that they do this. I like that this wasn't a one-time thing, because they've been doing this since the Heat series. So I hope they continue to do this. As long as they listen to the community, there's a bigger chance we get what we want in the game. I'm still really excited about this game. And yeah, I look forward to Thursday, 3 p.m. I will try to live stream it. So keep an eye out for that. For those of you who are interested, I appreciate it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for now. Yeah. You guys have a good one. I'll see you guys Thursday. Live stream. Later.